You are entering the cosmos.
Okay, we are here. We're back.
Here. Oh, there you go.
Gremlins abounded. Tech gremlins everywhere.
Oh my goodness. Did you hear any of that monologue that I just gave for the last 2 minutes?
Absolutely none of it. We just started right now.
Okay.
The studio crashed because of the timeline. I should have just paused it. So everything crashed and I rebooted and it's all right.
Okay. Well, this is General Howitzer's Big Monster Briefing Room.
Hello,
we're sorry
everybody.
for the delay.
Go. I should have just paused it. So everything crashed. The tech gremlins are getting wild. Sorry.
All right. So I just started that phone to see how the program was looking from that phone to see if everything was okay because I couldn't see myself. So anyway, this is the kind of day we're having today. It took forever to get the timeline finished. One of my guests, Alan Hops, from who makes monsters, creatures, this is one of his favorite training films. He's supposed to be here. We're hoping that he comes in.
Some weather issues. He's having some weather issues right now.
Yeah, he's fighting a snowstorm right now, and that's playing havoc with his Wi-Fi. So we're hoping that he comes in.
Hazard with it. It's playing Hazard, General Hazard. Oh, I called myself a general. I'm so sorry. I'm not a general yet. That's wishful thinking, General. I apologize. General, we lost your sound. Jamie, can you hear him? Jamie, can you hear the general? No, we lost your sound, General. We lost your sound. The tech gremlins do not want this to happen. But Alan came in. Go back out. Go out and come back in. Go out. I'm going to bring Jamie up and Alan up. Here we go. We cannot hear you. We cannot hear you, General. I apologize.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So the one we could hear left. Is that what just happened?
Yeah, I think he's gonna leave and then come back in.
Okay. Well, hi, I'm Alan.
Hello, I'm Jamie.
Hello, and this is Renee. Sorry, Major Millie. We've all had tech gremlins, Alan. Nothing has been working right. The tech gremlins do not want us to be broadcasting today, but we're so grateful that you're here. Thank you so much for doing that. We're going to get started with the timeline because General Howitzer, of course, is having some tech issues. So Alan and Jamie, time is now. Here we go. This is Frankenstein Meets The Wolfman. This is the first time it's ever been colorized.
Are we just going over the timeline, or have we started?
We started. We started right now. General Howitzer is here.
Yes.
Let's get started, guys. Let's get started. Come on.
Okay. So the movie that the training film we're talking about is Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. This was the first of the mashups for Universal Studios, where they decided to pit monsters against each other. So obviously we have the Universal logo there. Welcome, Alan. Alan, we're so glad you were able to make it here, even though you were fighting a snowstorm.
Yeah,
Jamie,
very rare snowstorms in Texas, so no one knows what to do.
I have a feeling that Ted Cruz is heading for Mexico.
Most likely.
That's my guess. And Jamie, lovely Jaime Bennett, is here. Belongs to the Shadows is her show that she does. A wonderful show that talks about ghosts and witches and whatnot. Okay, so we start the film. Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. I think. And by the way, I have my peach tea. This was given to me by Miss Diane Marie Coll. Thank you for this Christmas gift. It is a decapitated gnome. And I can drink my peach tea from that. Now it's a full moon. Here we go. And it's Wales, and it's the Talbot mausoleum, and we have a couple of grave robbers. Beautiful scene to set this whole thing up, and they go to Larry Talbot's grave and open it up. They're going to get some gold and whatnot and silver. And they find Wolfsbane, and they take the Wolfsbane out, and immediately Larry's hand comes up and grabs one of the guys.
I have some lore issues with this, but I understand the plot device.
Yes. Well, most of the things that we know about werewolves now was actually written by the guy that wrote this script.
100%.
Yes. Siodmak was his name. Carl Siodmak?
Kurt
Siodmak. He had a brother.
Well, Carl Lemiel, he was the big producer guy. So
there you go.
Yeah.
And his son. All right. So he tears into this one guy. The other guy escapes. The other guy jumps through the window above the door and escapes. And this guy, he leaves this poor guy by himself. The lantern crashes to the floor, and you would think it would burn up, all the wolfsbane that's, dry wolfsbane that's lying around. But it doesn't really burn up the place. And that happened to the creature from the Black Lagoon, too. You think that the lantern breaking in the tent at the beginning of the creature from the Black Lagoon would burn up the tent, but it didn't. So this is a universal thing.
Not a big deal. And Mary's cow in Chicago was framed.
So, all right. So that scene's over. Meanwhile, in Cardiff, England, far away, the next morning, a policeman finds Larry Talbot with his crushed in skull, which is healing quite nicely. And they take him to the hospital there in Cardiff. And Dr. Mannering takes care of him. And there is a detective there, Inspector Owen, played by Dennis Hoey. By the way, the colorization on this is very nice. I'm very happy. I'm very pleased with how it came out. I'm sorry that it made the timeline so tough to deal with. But there's Lon Chaney Jr. bandaged all up.
So weird to see this colorized.
Yes.
I've seen this so many times in
black and white. Yeah. So this is the first time anybody has seen the whole thing colorized. The whole thing. I'm sure other people have colorized pictures and put them online, but we did the whole thing from beginning to end, colorized it, so you could see it in color. Again, we have Dr. Mannering. There he is in the middle, played by British actor Patrick Knowles, who gets top billing. That's Dennis Hoey on the left. He's more recognized as playing Lestrade in Universal's Sherlock Holmes pictures. But he plays a nice little character in this. Inspector
in that
Owen.
Picture, he looked a lot like Tommy Lee Jones. A lot like Tommy Lee Jones.
You say your name was...
Different movie altogether.
So he says, I'm Larry Talbot. They call up his hometown in Wales, and the guy there is like, well, he tells the guy that Larry Talbot's in their hospital, and he goes, well, I'm glad he's not in our hospital because he died 4 years ago. So Inspector Owens is scratching his head on that one, and he tells Mannering. So that night,
werewolves, they get better.
That night, full moon again. And are you ready for the first transformation? There are 3 transformations in this movie. What I didn't realize was they did not do a facial transformation in The Wolfman. That started in this movie, actually. And there he is transforming in bed.
And that's not a bad transformation, in all honesty.
Yeah. Well,
for the time and how long it took. And for the record, this training film set my expectation for kind of what werewolf transformations was like.
Yeah.
And later, when you get to like American Werewolf in London and it's super painful and it takes forever, I'm like, well, I don't think that's the way that it is, because this was my training. Yeah, exactly. Or pea soup face. And then what's the one where they Company of Wolves, where the wolf head shoots out of the guy's mouth?
Out of the mouth.
And there's a Hemlock Grove is much more recent, but that's how it happens there. The wolf kind of jumps out of them, and then the wolf has to eat the whole dead body before it can go off and do cool werewolf stuff.
I haven't seen that one. I'll have to write that one down and look it up.
It's good. It's not amazing, but it's good. But anyway, yeah. So this transformation, it's a fairly peaceful transformation. The turmoil is emotional,
right?
And because he doesn't want to do the things that the Wolfman does, and then it's not a physical turmoil. It's okay. Right. I'm a werewolf now. There's a
you gotta believe me. I turn into a wolf. I kill people.
Yeah. But he cannot catch that guy who's just trying to steal an apple and feeling bad about it.
So that night he attacks I think it's the same police officer that found him the day before. They certainly do look similar. And then here's the interesting part. The next morning they find him in bed, and the werewolf must have put his pajamas on before he collapsed. Either that or the nurse put the pajamas on and then just threw him back on the bed the way she found him. So
that's
I found that
better than a Werewolf of London, where he changes fully into a werewolf, stops by the coat rack, puts on his coat and hat, and then goes out the door and closes it gently behind him.
There you go. That's what we got to get on our list too, eventually.
I have gotten dressed in a daze before, so I'm okay with this. It's like, well, I shouldn't. I don't know. I don't understand why he broke back into the hospital.
Yeah, there you go. Why didn't they find him on the street again?
What connection did he have to the hospital where he thought, yeah, I should go back there?
Werewolves are territorial.
He ought to head home.
and this is how they treat him. They put him in a straitjacket, But I will tell you that before this happens, he tells them, well, if you think I'm dead, because they tell him that he died 4 years earlier, you go look in that grave and you'll find that Larry Talbot's not there. So they do just that after this scene. after it takes 4 guys to put him in the straitjacket. They go down to his hometown. The crypt is already broken out of because it was broken out from the inside. Remember, the second guy had to climb through a window over the door. So he broke out of that door. The werewolves are very strong. And they find the grave robber with his jugular vein. This is the Wolfman's modus operandi. He goes for the jugular vein.
Not necessarily the way that a wolf kills, but the 40s and 50s had a lot of monsters that were just big on strangling for some reason. A lot of strangling.
That's the Wolfman.
Then they say his throat got ripped out.
So here's the clincher. The guy shows him a picture of Talbot, and sure enough, it looks like the guy they've got in the hospital. So Mannering calls up and finds out that he escaped. And he goes back to Owen, Inspector Owen, and tells him he bit through his straitjacket, bit right through it, which was a nice touch. So Larry is out there looking through gypsy camps. He's trying to find Maliva, the gypsy woman played by Maria Ospinskaya. Yeah. And she's in this. She had an injury during this. They were riding around in a horse and carriage cart, and it flipped over, and she twisted her ankle or broke her ankle, I think. So they had to write her out of a good portion of this film. They said, let's take her into jail, and they put her in jail supposedly. You didn't see her for 10 or 15 minutes, and then she comes back at the end. But anyway. Wonderful little actress, had her own acting school in LA. And here, the other gypsies are listening in on her conversation with Larry Talbot. And he's talking about how her son Bela bit him and made him into a wolf man. And she agrees to take care of him. He wants somebody to watch over him, make sure he doesn't kill people. And she says she's going to take him to Vasaria for a great man, Frankenstein, who might be able to cure him. And of course, the gypsies are like, he's going to kill you in your sleep. And she goes, no, he won't hurt me. And she's surprisingly right. He had opportunity. So here they are in the cart. I don't know when it tipped over, but here they are in the cart looking for Vasaria. And they find a nice little matte painting of this area. Now, the Frankenstein, the whole story moved to Vasaria in the last movie because of World War II. They wanted to create a fictitious place that wasn't involved in the war where they could set everything. So that's how Vasaria came about. And of course, they get into the town bar. And Larry looks this girl who's lighting the candles there up and down. There's a reason for that.
The way that this is shot, Maria Openskaya looks like she's 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
because you don't see the ladder the girl is standing on. It's like,
right.
Wow. Yeah.
And you'll realize this later too when you're seeing Frankenstein next to Patrick Knowles is very tall. He's over 6 foot. Lon Chaney Jr. is like 6'2". And Lugosi is I don't think he's quite 6 foot.
I think he's like 5'9".
Yeah. So even with the Frankenstein boots on, he's coming up to the tops of their heads. So yeah, there he is looking at her. And that's a foreshadowing because she's going to end up being a victim very shortly. What she was doing out in the woods at that time, don't ask me. Now, this guy on the right, his name is Vazek. He is the town. I don't know why he has so much power because he's just like the bar owner.
There's so many amazing tropes that are set up in this movie in particular, where you have the grave robbers. Like, this is really the first time where the grave robbers were a big pivotal plot point. And they kind of set up grave robbers as horror characters.
Yeah.
And we know that they're just shifty in general.
Right.
going back to the angry townsfolk mob. Yeah, we've had them before, but an angry townsfolk mob with a townsfolk leader, really sets them as, okay, that's a trope now. That's a thing that we're going to do over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, and again, there is a kind of a sheriff Burgermeister kind of character here. His name's Guno, and he looks older. But this guy pushes everybody around for some reason. This guy who runs the local tavern just kind of pushes the mayor around. He pushes everybody around, and he's like, "I'm going to blow up the dam and get rid of those ruins, that old castle." Which is, there it is, and he points up to it and goes, that's the ruins right there. Frankenstein, we burned it down, and Frankenstein's dead. And we don't like him. So Lon Chaney is irritated. He's not happy. Maria opens. Let's see, Maliva. Maliva is like, okay, thank you very much. Very nice. They walk off. So they've been smacked down, so to speak. So she can see he's not happy. She doesn't know what to do now, except watch over him. And it's full moon. So here we get ready for our next transformation. Now, there were stories that he was actually pinned down to places to hold him in place. And those have been kind of debunked, those stories. Yeah, he had to stay in one place pretty much while they did all this. They certainly had to mark it somehow to where he was always in the right place when the cameras were rolling. But, he had to get yak hair put all over him. So
there's a lot of like the later transformations, like Abbott and Costello, and like the ones that are later in the series of movies. Mm-hmm. He gets somewhere comfortable before he changes. There's one where it's like his head's on a log. Okay. And I think that's I know this process is terrible, so I'm going to lay right there. Okay.
Now, and you bring up an interesting point. When Jack Pierce, the creator of all these monsters, was doing all this stuff, he was working from scratch, and it would take over 3 hours for him to usually put these makeups on these guys. His assistant, Bud Westmore, was the one who kind of started creating the foam appliances that you could put on, and they were much easier to put on and take off. And
Jack Pierce was very resistant to using an appliance.
Yes,
I guess he thought that was cheating, and he wanted to build it up every time.
Right. And that ended his career, unfortunately, at Universal
because
Studios.
he wasn't as fast.
Right.
But to his credit, the consistency between all of the different Frankensteins that he did in the same movie, very good, very consistent.
Oh yeah. And for the record, before we even get to him, Lugosi looks the least convincing as the Frankenstein monster. I'm sorry, he just doesn't look right to me. I do agree that Glenn Strange had the best face for the monster, I think.
I would agree.
Karloff was the best actor playing the monster, for sure. But I think that there's just something about that craggy Glenn Strange face, that really lent itself to that monster. Anyway,
but
so the villager.
He was also the third or fourth person to play it, and by then they had refined the makeup a lot more too. Mm-hmm. So having Boris play it that late in the game, mm-hmm. It might have been a different look, and it might have looked even better.
Yeah, true. That's true. He was the fifth actor, I think, to do it, right? Because after Karloff, Chaney did it for one film, then Lugosi. So that's third. No, I guess he was the fourth.
Yeah.
I guess he was. If you don't include Eddie Parker, who was the stuntman in this one. He played him a lot in this. And, okay, so the villagers are chasing. They're looking for the monster or the wolf. And unfortunately, we missed the shot of the villagers with Dwight Fry. This was his last film, I think, for Universal. He died of a heart attack while riding a bus, I think, like a year later. Yeah. So, and he's one of those character actors that you see in a lot of these earlier Universal films that you just you love to see him, you know.
What an amazing Renfield.
Yes, Renfield, Fritz.
Like, that just remarkable.
So there he is on the far right there. That's him. He's playing Rudy in this. Rudy is his name. Although I don't think they actually call him Rudy in the film. That's his name in the credits. The Wolfman is out and about, and they shoot him. They actually shoot him. And it doesn't slow him down that much. Not a silver bullet.
Gotta have the right tools for the job.
So he gets closer and closer to the Frankenstein ruins. They're looking around. I love the fact that the women come along for this. For this, they want to be part of the action here.
Yeah.
So they're part of the mob. They go out into the woods. So, and then there's the character I was talking about in the middle there. He's kind of the sheriff, I guess, or the burgermeister or whatever. He's got the police hat on. And what I didn't know until I made this timeline is the guy on the right there is like the town drunk. He is all through this thing, and I only saw him in the movie when I first saw the training film when he was in the bar, you know, next to Vacek. So Larry takes a tumble down through a weak flooring there, and he ends up in a frozen cavern underneath the Frankenstein ruins. And he has a little playful scene where he's playing around in the snow, and then he just collapses. It's like he just gives up. It's like, that's it. I'm done with it. I can't get out. I'm just going to fall asleep.
He was spent.
I guess so. So he wakes up, and he's looking around, and he finds the Frankenstein monster buried in ice. And this is actually stuntman Gil Perkins, who did a lot of stunt work for Universal and other studios. He had a chin that looked like Bela Lugosi, so they got him for this scene. And Lugosi had already collapsed once by wearing the makeup and stomping around in the boots for a while. He was 60 at the time. So I'm going to let Jaime chime in here. She could probably tell us more about Frankenstein here. As far as do you know what happened to Lugosi and Frankenstein in this?
Not offhand, but you know, I I'm not exactly thinking straight. I had worked from 12 midnight to 6:30 this morning, so
oh my
mind's not quite as sharp as it normally is.
In the previous film, Ghost of Frankenstein, Lon Chaney played the monster for the only time he played him, and Bela Lugosi was Igor in that film and was his sidekick basically, or it was really kind of the other way around. Igor was was probably Lugosi's best character next to Dracula.
100%.
Very, very. I actually like him more than Dracula, but just an evil character. And again, he's always using the monster for his own gain. He's just a really nice, sinister character in Son of Frankenstein and Ghost of Frankenstein. Well, they give Igor the monster. He had put Igor's brain in the monster. So at the end of the film, he's talking like Igor. So naturally, since now Chaney wanted to play both monsters in this movie, but they thought it was just going to be too difficult for him to do that. So they said, "Hey, Lugosi's brain, Igor's brain got put in the monster. Let's let Lugosi play the monster. We can get him for cheap." And then that's how it happened. So they the slap in the face is that they offered Lugosi the monster's character many years before Karloff, and he turned it down because he thought it was just a monster stomping around and there was no character to it. James Wales had not been set as the director on the movie yet, and again, he brought more pathos to the character, and Karloff brought out that performance. Lugosi regretted it afterwards, that he didn't take the role, because they were going to turn him into the Monster Man. They were going to turn him into the next Chaney.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen that way. So he turned it down, and it upset the studio, I guess, and they didn't call him back until much later, until 1939. So, and every time they called him back after that, he didn't get paid a lot.
Oh man.
He didn't make good money. So, but the real sad part of this is he was talking with Igor's voice as the monster when they shot this film. And when they showed it to test audiences, the audiences laughed. They couldn't understand why. Evidently, they hadn't seen Ghost of Frankenstein. They couldn't understand why the monster was talking and with a Hungarian accent. So the studio made a judgment call. They said, cut all of the scenes where he has dialogue, blot out the audio from some of the scenes that we can get away with that, and they took away the monster's dialogue.
No.
So you don't understand why he's moving around with his hands. He's blind. He was blinded.
I was about to say, it gets worse because Lugosi filmed the whole movie thinking that Frankenstein is blind. Frankenstein can't see because he just came out of the ice and his eyes haven't adjusted yet. So him walking like this and his eyes being part closed, no one ever says he's blind.
Right.
And then that's one of those tropes from this movie where people walk like Frankenstein like this, and they don't even know that they're pretending to be blind. So, yeah. Yeah,
he had lost his sight because Igor's brain was a different blood type than the monster's, evidently.
Yeah.
So he rejected he was at the end of Ghost of Frankenstein, he's tearing the whole place down because he can't see. And it starts the fire that, kills him and Bowman and Frankenstein and the doctor and brings the whole house down. So, so he's supposed to be blind, but audiences evidently forgot that. Didn't remember that. And they didn't remember that, that he was speaking as Lugosi's voice at the end of the picture. So they laughed. And all of his dialogue, the picture is only like an hour and 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they cut a lot of footage out of Lugosi talking to Larry Talbot, explaining, how he got into the ice under the cavern, how he needs his help because he can't see. And he's always afraid when people leave him. He's got abandonment issues. So Larry Talbot, the monster shows Larry Talbot were supposedly the Dr. Frankenstein notes are, and they're not there, but he finds a picture of Elsa Frankenstein, the Frankenstein's daughter, and the mayor, played by Lionel Atwill here, arranges a meeting between Larry Talbot and her, and then he admits to her, hey, I was just trying to meet you. I want to get the notes of your father. And of course, let's face it, she made a train trip to this town to meet this guy because she thought she was going to sell the family property that she wants to get rid of. And then she finds out that some nutball wants her father's notes. So that shouldn't sit well, but she's actually very good natured about it. And they're having the wine festival that night in town. So the mayor invites them both. Larry doesn't really want to be there, but he, out of courtesy, he goes. And then this guy shows up singing a song. Yeah, and he's saying things to Talbot that Talbot doesn't like, and he gets up and he's all aggressive and pushing him around, and so it gets awkward. It gets real awkward real fast.
Yeah, I think he's singing about how beautiful the moon is, and Larry's like, "No, it's not. The moon sucks," and they get very angry.
Why he hasn't turned into a werewolf at this wine festival, I'm not sure, but anyway. He's pushing him around. He's scaring everybody. And that's when Dr. Mannering shows up. He has been following the stories of people getting their jugular veins ripped out all across the country. And that's how he found him. Very clever of you, Doctor. So they all sit down. It's extremely awkward. Luckily, the mayor comes in and takes Elsa away from it to dance.
Why is she still there? Like, think about how this looks to her. She's still there, hanging out.
Well, again, the mayor invited her to the wine festival, and she said, "Oh, I remember that from when I was a kid." And, she decided she's been very good natured about all of this, even though it's brought up some painful issues about her father.
Yeah.
Now, Lionel Atwill, in the movie Hollywood Babylon, they said that he would have wild orgies at his mansion. So he was a dirty old man. and it shows in his character, the mayor. He wants to dance with Elsa. I'm kidding. I don't know why that came out. Anyway.
I'm just letting you go.
Just let me go.
Yeah.
So, and I'm just waiting for the slide to show up at this point. Here we go. Okay, so now Vacek, unfortunately, the town gossip, and the guy that pushes everybody around, he's listening to their conversation now, and they're talking about Dr. Frankenstein and the all that, and the monster shows up, and he's scaring the horses, and it doesn't look good that Larry goes over to him and says, "Hey, it's me."
Your friend.
and again, he's got abandonment issues. That's why he's in town. So they hop in a wagon with big barrels of beer on the back and or wine. And he says, "You want wine? Yeah, I'll give you wine." And Eddie Parker, the great stuntman, knocks over several kegs of wine off of that fast moving carriage that's taken off. And that actually is an impressive stunt, I have to say. So now the villagers are crying for blood. The mayor brings Elsa Frankenstein, Dr. Mannering, and they bring the gypsy in. And Vacek is running the whole show here at this point. She says, "I've never seen these people before," but he goes, "Maliva, are you Maliva?" That doesn't help their case. And there's Rudy behind them. Dwight Fry again. The colorization program that I use for this, called Colorize, has a feature that actually sharpens the faces in the photographs. So that was one of the reasons it took so long for me to do this, because I really wanted those faces to pop so you could see them.
It does have a tendency to turn sideline people gray or blue. And there's some really creepy background people in this.
And sometimes
so they go up to the ruins.
Like their faces are all like pasted on. It looks kind of like some CGI, but it's not. But this is the first time it's been colorized, correct, General?
Yes.
This is the very first time, so this is historic.
It's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's very cool.
Yeah.
It took him a very long time to do it.
Yes. I only do one of these like once a month because it takes so long for me to colorize everything. I'm colorizing 250 slides for a 150 slide presentation. Anyway, so they go up, they see Larry up at the ruins. The monster immediately gets defensive. The gypsy says, "No, we are friends." And there's Lugosi, that great monster roar of his. And Larry again's like, "Hey, it's me. Don't worry." And Elsa's reaction shot here is just priceless.
A little bit of an understatement. Defensive, like he got a little passive aggressive.
Passive aggressive. Frankenstein, you're gaslighting.
For him to have the defensive as a more elegant soul than I think I give him credit for. So that was very interesting.
See, now I just did a bad thing because I said Frankenstein for the monster, and I shouldn't do that because really this movie is about Larry meeting Elsa. Frankenstein meets the Wolfman.
Yeah.
And I do need to tell our cadets,
the doctor's daughter. That's the Frankenstein.
I have a giant tirade about Frankenstein and the name and who you call what. This is a good chance for me to talk to a Frankenstein expert about it, who I'm sure is going to be mad at me. But Dr. Frankenstein did not go to like 10 years of medical school to be called Frankenstein. So it's pretty obvious that no one is referring to Dr. Frankenstein if they just say Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when you talk about labels and names, what happens is when you talk about labels and names, what happens is it's the name goes to the common identifier. And there are 100 releases of the movie Frankenstein that all have the monster on the cover and Frankenstein written under it in big bold letters.
Yeah.
Frankenstein is the name of the monster. Dr. Frankenstein is the name of the doctor. Even if you go with a emotional context of Dr. Frankenstein is the father of the monster, then wouldn't he take his name? And you would call him Frankenstein.
Mm.
So I think it is perfectly appropriate, if not more correct, to call the Frankenstein monster Frankenstein. And then call Dr. Frankenstein Doctor.
That
Never
makes
has there
sense.
been, I've never seen a movie released where it's Dr. Frankenstein on the cover and it says Frankenstein. It's
Yeah.
the monster on the cover and it says Frankenstein.
You have a valid
They've
point.
labeled it. They've labeled it for you. But anyway, sorry, I digress.
You have a valid point.
No, it's actually an interesting take on it because again, a lot of people get really bent out of shape when you call the Frankenstein monster Frankenstein.
And they have no grounds to do that.
Yeah.
In my opinion. I think I can battle them and be okay.
I don't think anybody would
just
battle
call
you.
it Frankenstein's monster, or, you know.
I think Frankenstein monster is appropriate. You know, I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
I think it's a case of it's Bill's dog, who's also named happens to be Bill.
Yeah.
Well, it starts in actually Bride of Frankenstein when Pretoria says the Bride of Frankenstein. Obviously, it's not the Bride of Dr. Frankenstein.
No.
She's outside the door looking in. You know, so obviously he's talking about the monster's bride.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. And then it just got worse from there. You know, it's just anytime, like you said, anytime the monster shows up, it's a Frankenstein.
I have blocked people on Facebook because they tried to correct someone over, well, that you can't call the monster Frankenstein. Bet I can.
A lot of people do. A lot of people do. All right. Well, I'm glad you shared that take on it. Actually, hopefully it'll silence some of those ne'er-do-wells who are purists and are like, "Hey, he's a Frankenstein's doctor." Then if he was, he would call him Dr. Frankenstein. Okay. So Elsa, seeing the monster and Mannering agreeing to help destroy the monster, although he doesn't say it in front of the monster, shows them where the book really is. She knows that there's a secret little latch there that opens up another little trap door, and boom, there's the book. So they're reading the book, and Larry's like, "Well, this isn't about death. This is about creating life. This isn't about me." And then we get the whole line about change the poles from plus to minus and minus to plus, and then we can siphon off your energy. And curious, do you think that could kill a Wolfman?
No.
Okay.
It's simply because of the regeneration of the Wolfman. It is and this is the first trope of let's drain the Wolfman. It happened again in where they strap him up to the machine to drain his life force off in order to give it to Dracula babies. But no, I don't think that would kill the Wolfman, because what kills the Wolfman is, in this mythos, 100%, it's silver and cutting off the head and left hand and then burning it.
Yep.
Burning it. Oh, okay. So it can't pull itself back together.
The
ashes will mix with water and boom.
Have you not seen the training film Monster Squad?
I have.
Where he was blown up.
We're going to be doing it on the show in a couple of months.
That is one of my top 5 favorite movies.
Yes.
So
you're definitely on the list to be here for that. Both of you, actually, because it's got Frankenstein, Dracula, the Wolfman. It's got them all in it. So anyway, there's the town drunk again. So yeah, they're talking about blowing up the dam now. Now, wouldn't that I don't know, endanger the town? Would there be a flood in the town if they did that?
You would think.
What's the dam for that it's not going to be a problem if they blow it up?
I mean, seriously.
Oh, we don't need that. Just blow it up.
And if you look at this picture here, there is water coming up under the castle now. That's running the turbines to run the machines. So where's that water coming from? if they've dammed the whole place up. Anyway,
had like a little valve just for castle power.
So
crafty.
questions. It raises questions. So yeah, they got boxes of stuff going into the castle. The townspeople are a little edgy about it. Elsa's trying to tell Mannering, please don't let this creature, to please kill this creature. It's been terrible for my whole family. My father died, my grandfather. So please. And he's like, yeah, no problem. But when he gets up to the point where he's ready to flip the switch, I can't do it. Gotta see this monster at full strength.
Gotta be the crazy guy for some reason.
So that's the ghost of Frankenstein right there in his head, bopping around. And he switches the bolts around. So, he switches it around so that he's going to make the monster stronger. He's still siphoning energy off of the Wolfman, evidently.
And that's important. Remember that.
Yes.
Later when they fight, remember that Wolfman's already been drained down.
He's been drained, but he's still pretty powerful. Yeah.
But you're not seeing a full strength Wolfman.
You're not seeing a full strength Wolfman. If they siphoned off some of his energy. So, okay. And this machine was in just about every Frankenstein movie after this, with the twirly thing on the top there.
Candy cane neon.
Yeah. So they've got him strapped down and they've got him hooked up. Larry's got a ring around his neck. Frankenstein's got the bolts, So he's siphoning off the energy of the Wolfman, and he's actually making the Frankenstein monster, Frankenstein, more powerful. And Elsa comes in because she hears the machine start up, and she sees what's going on. And she's like, "What? Did you not listen to me?" And immediately she goes for the switch, and he's like, don't touch the switch. Knowing that the whole thing's going to blow up. She evidently knew exactly where the self-destruct switch was.
And I think that this lab setup is the worst looking lab setup we've had in the Universal movies.
Yeah.
I don't know where this budget came in, but you know what the lab doesn't need, apparently? A ceiling. They don't need that at all. No roof, none whatsoever.
Wow.
And it's like, Mick, there's plants coming down the wall. This is a crazy lab. Like, they're like, okay, working in those conditions. It's really weird.
It's not a clean lab. But they're talking about killing two guys, So, it's not like you got to be sanitary. We're killing two monsters.
That's true.
So we don't need to call the maid to come and clean up. This is my favorite shot of Lugosi from this. That evil, you can see Igor just smiling right through, which I do like that shot.
Yeah.
This shot should be called "Yeah, Frankie Likes."
and I gotta say, I like Ilona Macy too. She was a wonderful addition to this film. She really a breath of joy and loveliness. So there it is. So meet me after the operation.
They're wearing similar shoulder pads as well.
Yes. I wasn't going to say anything because it's supposed to be a nightgown, but that is kind of strange.
Yeah.
That's kind of Glenn Strange.
A little weird.
There's where she flips the switch. No! Poof! Big old poof happens like and the villagers are,
If you think about it, all of these problems are her fault. He was in his man cave, minding his own business. He was going to kill the Wolfman, which is what the Wolfman wanted. And maybe when Frankenstein got the full power, his brain would get the full power. and then you would have a coherent Frankenstein who could like help people lift heavy things and turn over toppled carts because he's
Now-
strong and helpful. And
Now you're reaching.
she just ruined it. Her fault. Everything that happens from here on out is her fault.
So, I'm
Fair
so
enough.
glad you were able to make this. So there's Vacek. He's got the dynamite. He's gonna blow up the dam. And even Rudy tells the mayor he's going to blow up the dam. And of course, the full moon.
Yep.
It did seem like he was just looking for an opportunity to blow up the dam.
I think so. I think he
Like-
just hates that dam.
Every 6 months or so, he wants a new reason to blow up the dam.
Why don't we blow up that dam? Then people will come to my tavern. So here's the final transformation. And again, he's on a nice, not a nice bed, but he's on a flat board, I guess.
And he's already strapped in.
Okay. So yeah, there you go. So that, by the way, can we go back to that last slide? That is probably the best shot we got of Eddie Parker as the monster. Yeah. So Eddie Parker's playing the monster in this. For the stunts, Gil Perkins is doing the Wolfman. So Mannering thinks he's going to take out the Frankenstein monster at full strength with a wrench. Okay, this is a bad idea.
Yeah.
I got a wrench. I can handle him. It doesn't work out that way.
Well, this doctor is very new to the series. Doesn't know that anything else, he doesn't know. He has no idea.
A wrench would take out most people,
He knows the Wolfman is tough because there's all these torn throats throughout the countryside. But
Yes.
really, Frankenstein is new to him. He's got notes. That's all he's got on Frankenstein.
So again, he gets knocked down pretty easily. And yeah, Frankenstein's gonna get some action. He picks up Elsa and it's like, hey, you knew my daddy. A lot of struggling from the Wolfman to get out of his bonds here.
Because he was drained of power.
Yes, he's been drained of power,
So
but he still manages to do it.
You're talking a 10% Wolfman versus 100% Frankenstein.
There you go. Okay, so there's Gil Perkins getting ready to pick up Elsa. And yep, he finally breaks free and jumps the monster. Now, who I really feel sorry for here is the stunt woman who had to play Elsa Frankenstein.
Oh, gosh.
Because she gets thrown to the floor there, and it's a hard looking floor.
Yeah.
There, we're gonna see that in a second.
So,
There we go.
yes, there's a scene in Bram Stoker's Dracula where they come down into the crypt and it's Lucy is there and she has the baby.
Yes.
She looked over and sees them and just drops the baby, and then it was the same thing, just this fall from behind. It's like, oh, that did not go well.
Ow!
Yeah.
Ow!
Yeah, it's the same. It's like, okay, I gotta.
And
let
there was
this
no
go.
crying, was there?
No, that didn't.
No.
I don't think it worked out good for the baby.
There probably was in the beginning. They probably muted it. So yeah, he knocks the Frankenstein monster over. They wrestle around on the floor a little bit. And the fuse is lit. So get some growling from Frankenstein.
Bella's back.
Yes. Yes, Bella came back for the close-ups. He's probably sitting in a chair, There we have Eddie Parker again and Gil Perkins. Wrestling around in that lab. The crazy part of that, the self-destruct thing was that a giant timber came down from the ceiling for some reason when she pulled that switch. I don't know how it was hooked in to the thing there, but you not only see it, but you hear it. It's a big clunk.
I'm sure it was cables, so something like a pin.
It's a big wooden clunk as it hits the floor. So yeah, and like you say, the Wolfman is getting thrown around a little bit because he's a 10% Wolfman. I totally agree with you on that. It makes total sense. But he's he still keeps coming back for more. He's not giving up. You got to admire that.
True.
Okay. And here we got some close-ups with the real actors. And that is Chaney there. In front of the machine, the famous machine with the candy cane swirly thing on it. And he jumps Frankenstein, and they roll around on the floor again. And the only reason I put this next shot in here is to show you that Frankenstein wears an undershirt. We'll move to that. No, we got
next clip, maybe.
I'm sorry, it's the next one. there we go. They're rolling around and there you see the undershirt. I thought that was all in the same slide, but
that makes sense.
So yeah, so he's got a sweater on, but he's got a white undershirt underneath it. So that's nice. The monster, layers his clothing.
What's the white hairy bits off to the right side? Like
I think that's just lighting on the Wolfman's pants.
That's the Wolfman's bum, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Now
he farted. When you're jumping around like that, he probably farted. So Mannering gets to Elsa, and they're headed out of the castle, because they know it's not a good place to be. The fuse is still burning. The Wolfman gets thrown against that one of those tables that's been knocked over. These guys get to the high ground real fast. It's amazing how fast they get to the high ground. They know what's going to happen. They know somebody's blowing up the dam. And there it goes.
And on the right, flying through the sky, you see that same timber that fell out of the ceiling.
There you go.
It was moving into launch position so that it can. It's going to go land on the bar. Bar.
There you go, the tavern. Let's hope so. Go right through the window. And the Wolfman gets up. He's a little dazed. He gets up. Lugosi looking angry because he only got paid a certain amount of money to do this film. He jumps him again.
The Wolfman is very spry.
He is. Spry werewolves. Then they here comes the best stunt probably in the whole fight, where he jumps on top of the machine, and Frankenstein moves over there slowly, ever so slowly, and he pulls the machine over with the Wolfman still on top of it.
Kind of throws the whole machine, which is really good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that shows you how strong the Frankenstein monster is.
Because he's got Wolfman's juice.
We got a nice little snarl there. And over he goes.
I want to watch this whole fight scene while playing the song Cotton Eye Joe. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it would be awesome.
That would be
good. So he shakes it off again. I mean, you can't kill a werewolf without silver. So he just shakes it off and comes back. And the water's heading for the ruins now, the castle. And the Wolfman goes up into a little window area there, like a raccoon.
Yeah.
And looks back down at Frankenstein and then just jumps him. And I don't know why. I guess he's taunting him, but Lugosi puts both of his arms up. Yeah!
He's thinking that he won, I think.
Like, bring it on!
Remember, he can't see. So he can't hear the Wolfman anymore. I must not.
Actually, I think he can. Because every time the Wolfman's come at him, he's pretty much volleying him off. I think he can see now because of this operation that they just did.
Well, if he's at full strength, he probably should have vision. You are correct.
Yeah. So there you go.
Well,
So there,
Wolfman
the
is-
water comes down through the ceiling, which means that must have been a hell of a wave for it to come straight down like that. But and again, they're completely dry. They're up in the high ground somehow. They got there in like 5 minutes, less than. But you got to show the two lovers at the end of the film, always at the end of these. And the ruins come down, and the village is happy. I don't know where Vacek is when all this. I don't know if he got washed away or if he got up to the high ground with them, but they don't show that. And that's the end of the picture in full color,
which was very cool to look at. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I sent you both a copy of it, the PowerPoint with the photo, so you can watch it at your leisure.
That's awesome.
I thought you would like it. So
Very much.
thank you so much. That's my Christmas gift to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. That's your Christmas gift to me, both of you. And again, we'll have you on again soon. Again, we're going to be doing Monster Squad soon. I am planning to do Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein sometime in the very near future. So we'll definitely have you on for that. Again, wonderful show. I'm so glad that you were able to beat the snowstorm and make it, Wolfie. Alan, I should say.
It is right now outside. It is 14 degrees, and I am very close to Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
We do not do well in that. So yeah,
it's supposed to be
weird
6 degrees here.
Oh, that's
6
front
degrees
moving
in
down.
Georgia.
Cold front moving down. Thank you, Major Hazzard, for keeping this all rolling forward. You all have a wonderful Christmas weekend, and keep an eye out for those big monsters.
We are your
Thanks for
best
having
friends,
me.
everybody.
Is
Thank you,
Major
Jamie.
Hazzard
Thank
on an
you, Alan.
elliptical?
Thank
So I
you.
wanted to show everyone. This is, we had too many tech gremlins. I couldn't explain it. I made the gym. I wanted to show everybody. This is the gym, and this is what Major Millie Hazzard. We're supporting Ukraine, USA, and Ukraine. Of course, President Zelensky was here. So I'm showing my gold and my blue. And this is the gym. This is all the monster division, as we call it. This is where we work out. There's no one else here, as you can tell. It's a little bit late, and it's the holidays. But we're all still working really hard to defend every American and every good-meaning person in the entire world against those big monsters. So this is the gym.
Very good. All right. We'll see you next time.